Hey Vision fans, 16 countries will compete in semi-final number 2 of Eurovision 2025, but only 10 are going to make it through to the final. I'm going to look at all the available information and try and decide which are the ones who are going to make it through. So let's kiki. Hi, my name is Tom. I'm an Irish Eurovision analyst, and you can find all of this stuff on my Eurovision channel. So in case you didn't see, I already did a prediction video for semi-final number 1. I also released the community results for your votes for who you think is going to go through in semi-final number 1 as well. I'll do the community results for this. Loads of fun stuff. Make sure you're subscribed. In case you're new to my prediction videos, I'm going to split them up into 5 categories. Definitely yes, likely yes, borderline no, and likely no. I did last year have a definitely no category. I will probably bring that back when I do my final prediction video. I always do this video before rehearsals, and then I do a final updated video after I've seen the dress rehearsal. I might bring back definite no for that. It's also just the fact that I don't have space on the board, and I'm a little bit traumatized from what happened with a man in blue armor last year, as someone very correctly pointed out in the comments of my semi-final 1 video. This is not my personal preferences. This is not the 10 I want to go through. This video has absolutely no say over the results whatsoever. If I don't put your country through, it means absolutely nothing. It means 0. It will not affect your country's chances at all. It's just me giving my impressions. At this point in time, pre-rehearsal, loads of stuff can happen between now and then. We always have someone surprise, elevate, deliver when we get to the actual contest. I have to admit, the comments on my first video were fine. Not too many people coming for me. This semi-final is way harder to predict. So I'm going to put some more grass up. If you want to touch it, it's free. I just generally advise touching grass. But yes, I think this is going to get a little bit spicier. This semi-final is so much more difficult to call than the first one. There's some really obvious qualifiers. There's a couple of obvious non-qualifiers. And then there's just this big chaotic mess in the middle that is so difficult. I could easily see that I only get 7 right in this video. It feels so incredibly open with this middle bunch of like 7-8 countries, which I'm going to talk about later. Before we go into the first predictions, let's have a quick step out and just talk about this semi-final in general. This has significantly more women in it. Semi-final number 1 has way more men, a lot more fun, wild, out there songs. This has more ballads. We've got Serbia, Montenegro, Israel, Georgia, and then also France. And then in the second half of the semi-final, we only have 2 men competing, Adonis and Prince. Everyone else is a female artist. So very different feel from the first semi-final. Also note that we have France, UK, and Germany voting in the semi-final as well as the 3 automatic qualifiers. Let's get started. Let's take all these mofos off. Lots of people ask me where I got my magnets from. I got them custom made when I was living in China. That is probably the second most asked question on my channel. The most asked question is, what do I say before videos? I say, want to know my secret bang? It's from Ukraine 2019. Do you want me to do a Q&A video? I was thinking of doing something fun because the channel reached 20,000 subscribers. I thought a Q&A might be fun. Should we do that live, or do you want to send questions into me on Instagram or Twitter? Let me know in the comment section down below. That would be like a fun thing to do before, maybe at the end of April. First up, let's talk about the wonderful Erika Wikman. Finland are a powerhouse in Eurovision. It's official. I'm officially crowning them Eurovision powerhouses. 4 qualification record. They've totally turned things around since they revamped UMK. Definitely going to win Eurovision in the next 10 years. I think they are an outside contender this year, but definitely we're going to get a Finland win. If they just keep up this quality, wow, they're amazing. It's got the final running order slot. Erika's an incredible performer. In UMK, her in-ear mic didn't work. I didn't even know. It was so flawless, so perfect, so experienced, amazing performer, so much charisma and boss energy on stage, which is super necessary to make this song work. I think other people will get drowned by it. This is definitely qualifying, could potentially win the semi-final and could be contender to win Eurovision, but I think it's an outside chance. So definitely going to be seeing Erika in the final. Goes in my definite yes category. Let's talk about JJ from Austria singing Wasted Love. Second favorite to win the contest, although his odds have dropped a little bit. I need to do an odds update video. I will do that. Actually, it's going to be my next video. His vocal seems to be quite polarizing. Some people are really not enjoying it. Remind me a little bit of Blanca Paloma for Spain in 2023, but you can't vote against this. And they've got Sergio High-End in the staging. 6th running order slot is pretty good. He is in a tough spot vocally because it's him and then UK, whose vocals are going to be flawless, and then Greece, who's also got a strong vocal. So no vocal slip-ups are allowed here, but he's super solid. We've seen that in the pre-parties. This is a definite yes for me. The bigger question is, how's the public going to react to his vocal? Some are going to love it, or some going to hate it. Is he going to be able to get a big enough televote? But I'm putting this in as a definite yes. Next up, let's go to one of the ballads in the semi-final, and that is Georgia. It's Mariam Shengelia singing Freedom. Yeah, I don't understand this entry. It feels like there was some messiness, some strange organization in the Georgian selection this year. We know that Nini Iris submitted a song, and that song is going to be released on April 25th. I think it's called Release Me. She shared a snippet of it. Even the snippet sounds significantly better than this. So I don't get this. It doesn't sound like a very strategic entry in terms of going for the televote in the semi-final. You know, Georgia have a 6-0 qualification streak, which they broke last year, but generally they've been very bad at qualifying in recent years with stronger songs. This song for me, some people like this, by the way. I have seen people leaving me comments saying they like it, but the majority just don't get it. It's very odd sounding. It sounds like two songs overlapped on each other. The structure's confusing. I think so many people are just not going to get this. Very unusual entry. I hope this isn't the song that means that Georgia are going to withdraw and we're not going to see them next year, because they have been very, very consistent at being in Eurovision. I don't think they've missed a year. Yeah, they haven't missed a single year since they joined in 2007. You know, they started the contest so well. 4 top 12 finishes in a row, 12th, 11th, 9th and 9th. And they withdrew in 2009 because the song wasn't accepted. But yeah, God, they've really gone downhill in the last 7 years. So this is a definite no for me, but I don't have a definite no section. So I'm going to put it in the likely no section. And you can't say it's definite no, because you never know what kind of tricks people can pick out. You know, we've only heard the song and maybe seen a couple of performances. But until you've actually seen the staging and how it feels on stage, I don't really think you can say it's a definite no. Next up, let's talk about Australia. It's Gojo Milkshake Man. Some concerns over Australia's televote. Having said that, they won their televote in 2023 with Voyager. They did have a very good running order slot, but they still won. This is a big debate. Can Australia do well in the televote? The evidence so far is that it's harder for them to get a big televote than a jury score. In 2023, Voyager won their semi-final, and then in the final didn't do great in the televote. But if you saw my 2023 televote analysis video, I showed that the qualifiers in the other semi-final made up 75% of the televote in the final, and Voyager semi-final made up 25%. So they were in a weaker semi-final. I think that kind of proves it. Semi-final 1 had Karia and Loreen and Noah Carell and all the kind of big televote hitters. So that's part of the reason why Voyager won their semi-final and then didn't do great in the final. But I also think another factor is there are some people who just won't vote for Australia. I think there's less of them in the semi-finals. I think people watching semi-finals are a little bit more open-minded. I think there's more Eurovision fans. I love Australia in the contest. I have zero issue voting for them. Eurovision is meant to be about building bridges, inclusivity. Of course I want Australia there. I think they're wonderful in the contest. But there are some people who just can't get past that geographical barrier. I still think this is going to make it. I'm going to put this in as a likely yes. As a package, this is a definite yes. But I'm putting it down a little bit just of that small doubt. There's some people who won't vote for it. Also, it's first in the running order. So obviously that's difficult. First running order has a good qualification rate. I think they're going to do something really memorable. I hope he brings the ice cream truck on and does something really crazy. We've seen his pre-party performances, I think, are really excellent. He's got cool, goofy characterization on stage, which I think really works. This totally deserves to be in the final, in my opinion. But yeah, I have teeny tiny doubts. Okay, next up, let's talk about Latvia from Greece. Greece have qualified 4 of the last 5 years, and all of those qualifications were in the top 6 of the semi-final, and then 3 of those went on to be top 11 finishes in the finals. So Greek delegation, I think, when they're given a good package, have a very consistent ability to qualify it. You know, the only time they came close to non-qualifying was Demi, This Is Love, which I thought wasn't a particularly strong package. So when they're given something as strong as what Latvia has with a Stereo Mata, they have a record of getting it into the final. Greece in general have a great qualification record. Cyprus aren't here. I don't think they need them. This is a ballad plus. I didn't even put this in my ballad thing at the start because this feels like more than a ballad because it's got the beat coming in towards the end, which I think is really wonderful. And I think kind of separates this from the other ballads and makes it feel different and unique. She's a great singer. She's got really cool styling. I think this is in. I'm putting it as a likely just on the basis of we haven't seen the staging. I thought the staging in the national final was flat as F, but I doubt that they're going to put staging that flat in the actual Eurovision final. I will do a review of this. I'm kind of dreading it because Greek copyright is monstrous. It's so aggressive. Okay, anyway, I'll work it out, don't worry. Okay, next up is Montenegro. It's Nina Zizic. Returning to the contest after a 2-year hiatus, the EBU welcomes them back by giving them the worst running order slot number 2. This has a very dangerous opening 20 seconds. Some people are going to like this instrumental. It is dramatic, but if the camera work is off or they don't do something interesting in that 20 seconds, I think they're going to lose so much of an already reduced audience right at the start. Does Montenegro have a history of good staging? No, they don't. They've got no precedent for being able to problem solve and make things exciting. We know that they have budget issues, absolutely. So do Moldova, and they use a lot of creativity to get around that. I haven't seen that streak of creativity from Montenegro yet. They do have a slight reputation for leaving their artists on their stage on their own. Like, I think the best example of that was Slavko, who was literally on the stage on his own. All they gave him was some hair extensions. Obviously, it's difficult. They've got much less budget than other people. Not just budget for what's on the stage, but budget for coming up with creative plans. They've got to come up with a creative solution, though, to make this work. Second in the running order, it's a ballad. The song is good, but let's be real. This came 4th in the televote of Montenegro. This didn't come first. It didn't come second. It didn't come third. It came 4th. Montenegrins put 3 other songs that they voted ahead of this. That is not a good starting point. So even Montenegrins weren't in love with this. It's had a revamp since. She's an absolutely fantastic performer. Both returning female artists, her and Justina, have been put in the death slots. What that says about the producer's thought pattern. -5 qualification streak, worst running order slot. This song came 4th in its own televote. They've got Serbia, which is going to give them 12 points, which is definitely going to help. But one thing I show all the time in my semi-final analysis videos that I do after the contest is that the strongest correlation with qualifying is how many countries voted for you. Not having one give you 12, it's love across the board. That's a really strong correlation. And I just can't see like 10 countries giving this points. So I'm putting this in my likely no. Would love to be wrong about this. Love.com. But this isn't what I want. This is what I think is going to happen with current information pre-rehearsals. Okay, next up, let's go to Mariana Conte for Malta, another country on a non-qualification streak, 3 in a row. This is a huge fan favorite. I think that Eurofans are going to be voting for this. If there's any sense of danger about it or they feel like it's borderline, I think they're going to go. I think this is going to be the main campaign in semi-final number 2, even more than Sasau, who's also a fan favorite. If people smell danger, they're going to be voting for this en masse. I think how well this does could correlate with how much it's in the mainstream news. I've been in the press room a couple of times now. Mainstream press love drama. They really only cover their own country and then drama. That's like the main thing that they do. Even the non-tabloid newspapers, that's one of their main focuses. And they'll have like a couple of small stories, but it's drama, big stuff. They don't cover all the other entries, which is why I'm pro fan media. There's some people who don't like fan media being in the press room. I am, because we cover pretty much everything. Whereas mainstream media will only cover a couple. I think they'll be covering this. The more that they cover it, the more attention, the more hype it gets, the more it goes up the scoreboard. She's been wonderful in the pre-party. She's getting more and more confident. I can see that that's going to sell the song more on stage. I hope that they change some of the stuff from the national final because I didn't like the start. I love the ending with the Swiss balls. It's beyond iconic. And I think that moment alone, finishing on such a strong note, is going to help her so much in qualifying. I'm putting this in as a likely yes. Why is it not definite? Malta's 3 non-qualification record. They sent an amazing package last year and it came last. And they sent a fantastic package with the busker and that came last as well. They've been paid dust for really, really great stuff in recent years. They don't have a big diaspora. I wonder if Australia going to give a little bit more. I've actually never investigated that. There is a big Maltese population in Australia, but I don't know if they show up for them or not. If you do know, leave a comment down below. Okay. Next up, let's talk about Czechia. It's Adonis. So Czechia have qualified 4 of the last 6 years. Last year, they came 11th. Really cool staging that they had with Aiko. They got incredible artists this year in Adonis who can sing, he can dance. He's a countertenor, I believe, so doing a little bit of opera at the end. Super dramatic song. So many fun things in this. Small concern about the dance break, which I love, by the way. I absolutely am obsessed with the dance break. one of my favorite dance breaks ever. Not my favorite one. That's still Chanel Slow-Mo. But this is one of my favorite ones. I'm a little bit worried that some of the casuals might not understand it or think that it's off or goofy or something like that. So that's why I'm a tiny bit concerned. But I'm still putting this in as a likely yes. I think that people are sleeping on this a tiny bit. I was a little bit concerned to see how small the views were for his reaction videos, not just mine, in the community in general, especially compared to Vesna, who had really high views. So a little bit worried that there's not that much fan hype, but casual hype is more important. So let's see how this does at the contest. I think this is a really strong package. Plus, he's the only guy in the second half with Prince, but Prince is doing a ballad. He's doing something more upbeat. He totally stands out an absolute freaking mile. Okay, next up, let's talk about Israel. Last year, we saw that they did a really huge advertising campaign, which isn't against the rules. You can do that, but it was huge. You know, there were ads all over most of the Eurovision channels, and they were encouraging people to vote 20 times. I don't see why they wouldn't be doing the same again this year. I think that the government looks at this as a soft power, big PR publicity thing. So I'm expecting a similar advertising campaign. By the way, Belgium also advertises. That's the only other country. I'm sure there's others. I think that money put into promotion plus some solidarity as well. For me, this is a definite yes. I don't think the televote's going to be as big as last year. If this song was 5 years ago, I would put this as a borderline yes. It's in the second half, obviously. If it was in the first half, I'd probably put it as a borderline no. Similar to last year, a lot of people are going to vote for this, even though they don't massively like the song. We saw the streaming numbers last year for the song didn't correlate with the televote at all. So I think we might have a similar thing this year. So now we've got 7 countries left. This is where it gets really freaking messy. I'm just going to show you these 7 countries because it is so difficult for me to call the last 3 places available. And that's even assuming that I got the first ones right. Like if I've gotten any of this wrong, that makes it even more complex. We've got 7 countries now competing for 3 more places: Serbia, Ireland, Armenia, Luxembourg, Latvia, Lithuania, and Denmark. Let's go through them one by one. First of all, do you agree with my messy 7? Or would you add someone in or take someone out of that messy 7, make it a messy 8 or a messy 6? Let's start with Lithuania. Katarsis Tavo Akis. Very unique, unusual song in the semi-final. It is difficult for non-pop songs to qualify, but it's possible. A lot of people talking about Sudden Lights, which I know is a different type of rock, but fits into that non-pop category, and that didn't make it. So I'm hearing mixed messages about this because lots of Lithuanians are leaving me comments saying that people are complaining about this in Lithuania and they don't like it or they're not fully behind it. But then I'm hearing other people saying they absolutely love it. So I think that is important because I do feel like they need the Lithuanian diaspora to show up for this. I'm not saying the song isn't quality enough to get through. It's a non-pop song, and non-pop songs do have less of a starting audience than something like Norway, Lighter, which is going to have a much, much bigger starting audience to get votes from. 8th in the running order, latest in the semi, in the half. I'm going to put this through, but I am a little bit concerned about it. I think Lithuanians need to show. We've got UK here. We know there's a big Lithuanian population in the UK and in Ireland and Latvia as well. And Germany. So there are lots of countries. Is Poland here? No. I do think that could be the tipping point for whether this qualifies or not. So if you are Lithuanian, I think you need to text your friends. Next up is Ireland. It's Emmy singing Like a Party. One of the worst running order slots, slot number 3. It was the worst last year, but both songs qualified, so now it's a bit better. Marvin Dietman is doing the staging. I don't know if that's a fantastic match. I think of Marvin, he can be an amazing stager. He's won Eurovision with Conchita. But I think of him as chic, glamour, a little bit sparkly. I don't think of him as fun, whimsy, cute, which I think would work well with this. A little bit of mysticism as well, like some mystery and magical space. So I don't know if that's the best match. Australia's here, so is the UK. But then there's no Norway or Sweden or Iceland. They're all in semi-final number 1. So the 3 countries in the Nordic pot, which I think would like this, are all gone in the other semi. Semi-final 2 Nordic countries are Australia, which does give good points to Ireland, but then also Denmark and Finland. I don't know if this is as much a Denmark and Finland thing as it would be. I think Sweden, Iceland, and Norway would all like this, particularly Norway, obviously, because she's Norwegian. So that's potentially some big points from those 3 countries, which is gone. Look, at the end of the day, if it comes down to song quality and how fun and performance, you know, we've got a terrible qualification record. We've qualified twice in the last 10 years. I don't think that's a coincidence. Yeah, I'm struggling with this one. I'm going to put it as a borderline no. I'm not putting it out yet. I have to admit, I'm kind of in between borderline no and likely no. I'd be surprised if this went through. Obviously, I want it to go through because I'm Irish. It's fun to cheer for your own country. But again, this video is what I think is going to happen, not what I want to happen. If you look at historical patterns, the running order slot, the song, how's the song doing the Eurovision scoreboard? Not great, despite the fact it's upbeat and boppy. There's a lot of warning signs here. Next up, let's talk about Armenia, Parg singing Survivor. So Armenia's got France, which always gives some good points, and also Georgia. They're on a +3 qualification record. They had 3 wonderful women who qualified 3 years in a row and kept getting 61 points more than the person before them. He's giving good energy on stage. He's very committed to this. I don't feel like the song is unique enough. It does have like a slight rock edge to it, but just overall, it's kind of giving Melfest Heat contender, not Melfest Reject, Melfest Heat contender. There's a little bit of an Armenian feel in it, but it feels a tiny bit tacked on. I don't see many people talking about it. It's not doing great in the Eurovision scoreboard. Yeah, I think that this one is a borderline no. You know, male artist does give him a little bit of advantage in this very female-heavy semi-final. Maybe Armenia can come with some really cool staging. Their staging recently has been good. Brunette's staging was good. Ladanivo's was fun. It very much fit the song. And then Rosalind's staging was wonderful. And again, I think that was Marvin Dietman who did her staging, wasn't it? Marvin Dietman's very hit or miss. He can be really wonderful. He can be a bit not great. Got 4 countries left, but only 2 slots available. Let's talk about Latvia. They're actually in a pretty good slot. Slot number 4 has a 90% qualification record if you include Tulia. So that's the best in the last 5 years that's been in all 5 of those contests. So this is actually not that bad. Very unique song, gonna stand out. Little bit of a shame that Remember Monday are coming a little bit afterwards because obviously it's a girl group as well. So makes them just a little bit less unique, but you can't vote for the UK. So I still think this is gonna stand out. On the flip side, Latvia having a 6 non-qualification streak before Don's last year does make me a little bit worried. I think this is a better package than many of them. Not all of them, but many of them. Hopefully the Latvian delegation's learned a little bit. Actually, if you include Sudden Lights, this is a pretty good streak Latvia's been on. Sudden Lights into Dons into Tautumetas. I think they need to fix a couple of issues in the choreography to make it look a bit more polished and elevated. I'm going to put this through for now as a borderline yes. Lithuania's there, Ireland's there, UK's there. So there's a couple of places with good Latvian populations. The fact it's in Latvian, it's got that folky feel, makes it really, really special. I would love Latvia to get 2 qualifications in a row. And that's what concerns me a little bit, is that I feel, is this wishful thinking? Or do I actually think they're going to go through? I do think it's borderline. Next up, let's go to Denmark. Sissal singing Hallucination. Sissal's amazing. You know that I love her on this channel. She leaves me comments. She watches some of the videos. Love her. She's looking for constructive criticism. She's a wonderful artist. Super powerful voice. Very commanding presence on stage. Eurovision's a team sport. It's not an individual sport. So it's not just about the artist, it's also about the delegation. In my personal opinion, the Danish delegation is the worst delegation in the contest at this moment in time. I'm not the only one who thinks that they're not pulling their weight. Stig Carlson also criticized them in 2023. They clearly have adequate budget, a lot more than other countries, but you can't see that when you watch the shows. You know, this year they said that the staging was going to be much, much better. The main, most popular song had no staging. I'm not going on a Denmark rant again. If you want to see my rant, go watch my mother-loving Denmark video. I can't take the blood pressure. Sissal will do everything possible to get this through. I just don't believe in the delegation. 4 non-qualifications in a row. Also, if you look back at when they were qualifying, there was no staging then either, but they could get away with it because staging just was less complex back then. So I think if Denmark does qualify, and like I said, I'm not putting this completely out. I'm putting this as a borderline no. I'm not putting it out completely. It could be borderline yes, but if it does make it, it's because of Sissal. That's just saved in my head. Unless we see the staging in Basel and the staging is incredibly wow, and we can say, okay, the delegation listened to her, but I still feel like it would have been her dragging them into reality and actually just trying. I just feel like this is the lowest effort delegation we have in the contest right now. Okay, so we've only got 2 countries left. First of them is Serbia. It's Prince singing Mila. And the second is Lorthorn, La Poupée Mon Leçon. Which of the 2 am I going to put through? Okay, let's make a case for both. First of all, Serbia. There are more ballads in the semi-final, so it doesn't feel as special as Clement does in semi-final number 1, but his running order is so good. It's right at the end. Serbia's going to get 12 points from Montenegro. They've never been outside the top 11 in a semi-final ever. That is insane. Considering that a lot of semi-finals in the past used to be 19, 18 countries as well. He's a wonderful performer. Really strong vocal, very committed on stage. He gets into this kind of like slightly melodramatic telenovela characterization. But I think some people are going to like that. People watch soap operas and telenovelas. In my opinion, this is the weakest song that Serbia's had in the last 7 years. So it's going to be the most difficult qualifying. But they've been given some luck. The running order being one of only 2 men in the second half. You don't come top 11 in every semi-final you've ever been in by coincidence. Serbian delegation know what they're doing. They're not stupid. It's a team sport. It's not just about Prince. There's a whole bunch of people behind the scenes who make this all work. Yeah, I don't think you can write it off yet. Is it going through or not? You have to wait a second. Let's talk about Laura Thorne. My big question is, last year, Tally Fighter came 5th, which was a huge surprise to me. Amazing result in the semi-final. How much of that was that she was last in the running order? How much of that was that Luxembourg were returning to the contest and had this big storyline? And how much of it was just the package and the vibe and the song of the field? I don't know what percentage each of those 3 things it was. It probably varied by country. But obviously we're losing the veneer of Luxembourg coming back to the contest. We're losing the final running order slot. So now we're a little bit more just focused on the song and the performer. I think this is a wonderful song. And I think it's a very good performer as well. Staging isn't fully there yet, especially the LEDs I think need to be a lot better. But I find this one so hard to call because it's like, how much of this was that? Maybe it was nothing to do with the running order and them coming back. Maybe people just loved Fighter. I feel like this is in the same album as Fighter. It's got that pop nostalgia. I love the bit of the start where we open on France Goal. This could be a sleeper hit. I saw people saying in one of my tweets recently that they think this could be the sleeper song that qualifies and then goes top 10 in the final. I can totally see that happening. I can also see this flopping in the semi-finals. And it's weird because usually these songs that can either do really well or flop are like a little bit more out there or weird. This isn't out there or weird. It feels very mainstream, broad appeal. I'm almost convincing myself to put it in now. Okay, which of the 2 am I putting through? To be honest, my original one was I was going to put through Serbia. But now I'm thinking, should I put through Laura? I'm going to stick with my original plan. I'm going to put in Serbia as a borderline yes. I think that the Eurovision bubble doesn't like this, but casuals, I think, are going to like it more. Great running order slot, great performer. The song is dated, but that can work sometimes. But like, I feel weird now putting in Laura because I just kind of argued myself into going for it because it's got a really broad appeal. Let's have a quick overlook now just of the 16 that I picked. First of all, have I got a good spread between the first half and the second half? First half songs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5. I have to admit that's probably something I'll change when I do my final video because the most common split between first half and second half is 4-6. Probably one of the second half countries, which is Georgia, Denmark, or Luxembourg. I might be looking at swapping them with one of Latvia, Lithuania. I think Greece and Australia and Austria are pretty safe. So I think like that's the most obvious thing that I've gotten wrong, or that I will get wrong, is one of those 3 to swap in for Latvia or Lithuania. But again, Serbia, like I'm not solid on that one. I can totally see these 2 swapping. If Armenia have a great stage show, Sasal, if the team delivers for her, don't just leave her on her own to do all the work like Saba had to. If they come forward for her, she can come through. And then these 2, it would take something really big. I would love if it happened for Montenegro though on their return to the contest. Okay, those are my predictions for semi-final number 2. What did you think? Please leave a comment in the comment section down below. Thank you to those who've been supporting me on PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee. If you want to support the channel, I'll leave a QR code for you here and a link in the description. And of course, thank you to all my wonderful patrons for patronizing me from all around the world. On my Patreon, you can get loads of awesome, amazing Eurovision stuff. Go check it out if you're a fan. But of course, thank you so much just for being here. I'm seeing another Eurovision analysis video very soon. Goodbye. From the second half, and that is Georgia. It's Maria Sher.